Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Great Wizard Bukake, your host. Our heroes have been joined by allies from the fortress. Butthole promised a daily hug to Quinny's mom before telling Ginny she's a princess now. Quinny tried to help convince her, and Juniper won the future royal over by admitting that no one knows what they're doing. With the line of succession in place, what will happen when Juniper unveils her new laws? Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons.
Chief Justice, you have an hour to put together your legal arguments for what the laws of Asgard should be. I'm happy to jump us ahead to that presentation, but I figured you might want some time to do consultations or just talk through it. How prepared is Juniper to deliver this?
Juniper's never going to be prepared. I think it's a good time. I think it's wise to talk it through now so that she's headed in the right direction before, honestly, wasting more time.
Fair enough. In the hour between Juniper getting her stuff ready and that meeting, Quinny and Butthole, is there anything you'd want to do?
Hey, look, if it'll help you take your mind off things, I know you got a lot going on, and I definitely clock that thing about, like, they're called feelings. I get it to a degree. Obviously, I could never fully get it, but I mean, if you look out the window over there, you can watch Reginald teach a bunch of marching guys how to dance.
Thank you. And he is going to do that.
Aww,
all right.
Just a
so
man and his
nice.
wolf sitting at a glass window. The man cross-legged in his robe, the wolf next to him.
Unable to see that far, but just understands the moment.
He might see a bird.
Snarf, snarf.
Pretty big day for him, yeah.
Yeah, it's not even his birthday, but like, sure, I guess. Fuck. All right. Reginald, you are with the troops. We had previously rolled to see how well you're doing. Now that it's been some time, some additional things have happened. So I would like to another roll to see what Butthole can observe from distance, so we can figure out how Butthole feels about it.
What am I rolling again?
I think probably persuasion, because you're leading them, unless you want to do performance where you are like participating. I suppose it could be intimidation if you hate them.
No, I don't hate them. So I think for him, it's probably performance, because they'd have got past the point that was like they're just doing it with him watching.
Yeah,
because he has a limited skill set for that. Now it's like he's got to be a part of the show. 13.
13. All right. I rolled for Vismuth as well, and she's got a slightly better score. So like it's coming together, but it's still bad. Like it's not great, but it is definitely passable for the purposes of this. And I think given that the goal is to show that the army is changing in tone, even if they all look like a bunch of fucking goofballs, that will still indicate a change in intent and a change in structure for the army. Vismuth is at this point trying to explain like how to break out a proper like breakdance circle so that she can like do her spotlight bit, and just keeps like picking people and being like, I know you have fancy footwork. I've seen you kill many people with fancy footwork. You can put fancy footwork to work here. You're just choosing not to, and that makes me very angry. So she's kind of having words, but like it's working, and you can see like there are soldiers helping each other a little bit. There's a lot of like, you know, under the helmets like muttering like, no, it's pivot, pause, step, pause, pivot, step, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I know, I'm working on it. Like a lot of that stuff. But it's overall, Reginald, I think you're probably feeling pretty good about it. You have no idea where the fuck Quinny is, because he left to check on that cloak a while ago and like didn't come back.
There's no way he got killed by his cloak, right? No. I pulled that off of that Vismuth too easy. I feel like we're as ready as we're going to be here. Do I have any... What do I do? We're not at war. We're at peace. I don't have to hide from anyone. I think I can go for a walk. Oh, no. Who am I? This is a very weird... All right. Vismuth!
And she snaps to attention.
All right. It seems like everybody's done a pretty good job on these drills. Keep those in mind. We don't need to run this into the ground. We need to keep ourselves relatively fresh for this.
I'm thinking we can dismiss them.
Yes, sir. Everyone, your dancing was, yeah. When we do it tonight, when we do it tomorrow, your dancing will be excellent. Practice, rest, have a snack, hydrate. And then she just, they all salute and fuck off.
So, Bismuth, what do you do for fun around here?
Fun? We had a very disappointing paint night. Admittedly, when the Lich Lords took over, it was not fun around here anymore. Before then, feats of strength. We had many athletic events, a lot of running and jumping and people throwing metal far. We have a couple of excellent bars. I believe you and your compatriots already discovered the old campaigner. Is make a good time, good trivia night back when we still had those. But admittedly, I think it might be time to discover new fun in Asgard. We knew what was fun in Akka. We do not know what is fun in Asgard yet.
All right, what's the one thing you've always wanted to do that wasn't allowed?
And her eyes kind of narrow, and she says, Big Cliff where they built Portal.
Mm-hmm.
You blew it up, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was quite a thing. There was a lot of talk about the shock and awe of that. It was very well done, for the record. I've always wanted to jump off that cliff in a safe way. I've heard of, I believe they call it base jumping or bungee jumping, and I've heard of it in other places as a form of entertainment and thrills. And usually my thrill comes in combat, but I'm curious how to get adrenaline rush without danger to life. Safe adrenaline rush.
Well, we could hire a wizard to cast Featherfall on us and then jump off a cliff.
We could hire a wizard to cast Featherfall. Sir, I do not feel I trained the army to dance well enough to warrant such treatment.
Yeah,
For the record, I cannot afford Featherfall spells.
Well, here's the thing. You can always be wrong. You did a great job. Congratulations. Here's today's bonus. Let's go jump off a cliff. And he's just going to take Bismuth cliff jumping.
Great.
And hire a wizard.
The fact that Reginald has now gotten to a point where he will do something inherently dangerous for fun is fucking great.
Well, for him with Featherfall, it's not dangerous.
Fair. Yep. So the two of you head off to the portal cliff. Butthole, you observe, I think, well, I mean, you can tell me what you draw out of this, but you kind of see the tail end of the dance preparation, as well as kind of the soldiers helping soldiers, as well as them dispersing, and then Reginald and Bismuth heading off together.
It's kind of just like something going right, which for Butthole is pretty pleasant, because it's like, okay, they don't have to dance well. He doesn't care how well it is. It's just like no one fought over the idea. Like it wasn't Reginald having to threaten a regiment into learning to dance. And then the soldiers were helping each other with the dance, which is like perfect. We fooled them into positivity by just fear of failure. And then Reginald's going off, he doesn't know where to, but with the officer in a way that seems genial. They're not like doing the fake hurry to work kind of thing. And it's just like, okay, maybe these military aren't all psychotic monsters who are here to kill each other, like refuse. Like it's like if people can have fun, they can do a thing and make a friend, and that's nice. What's worrying is the only person who's pulled that off is Reginald, and he's from Hell World.
Fair. You can add 1 point to prosperity and 1 point to military.
Well, thank you.
Great. So you see that. Quinny, I'm going to give you a point of inspiration for actually finding something that improves Butthole's day. And Butthole, I'm going to give you a point of inspiration for a kind of forced rest. I don't think you're consciously aware that this is good for you.
Yeah, that I've been fooled into doing a positive thing.
I mean, like, I think you probably get that, like, to some degree, but yeah, it really is kind of like your body and soul needed a break, and somehow you found it, and something went right. Like it's a small step, but it's a step towards things starting to work out. Quinny, after you set Butthole up for that, was there anything else you wanted to do before Juniper delivers the laws?
It was actually going to be to go back down, but watching them disperse, he's like, oh, that looked all right by the end. You know, not to my standards, but It was all right. Seems like a good idea. Leave King and his furry best friend to just sit for a bit and have a think or whatever. There's probably some Spy Master shit I can get up to. You know, I started to get into Emily's unseen hand files, as it were. I believe there is an entire network of spies that I haven't really tapped into that I think we need to start shuffling around, especially if we want more intel out east. I don't have the, like in Vasa, for example, and things like that. Like I'm talking to the Warlock Knight, and that's one thing. But having people in the nation reporting kind of thing. And given that we are trying to get into an alliance, with the Lord's Alliance kind of thing, if I remember correctly, the Unseen Hands like influence and presence is pretty deep there. Like they're well entrenched. So I think I would basically see about figuring out how Emily moved these people around, moved these agents around, sent orders from afar, try to get that system figured out.
Sure.
I've got an hour, so I don't expect to get much done. But the ultimate plan is like, okay, we need to shuffle things around. Lord's Alliance, we want to be their friends. I'm fine to like leave people who have like fully like integrated and like legitimized themselves into these societies as like they can stay there. But like people in the field, people who are like gathering intel, people who are like not necessarily like have like covers and stuff like that still. I would want them to like migrate to these unknown nations to help us kind of get in there. That's a big move for an hour, so I understand.
No, but I understand the idea of like even just trying to get a sense of how you communicate with these folks.
Yeah.
Okay, can you please give me a, let's do an investigation.
Yeah, investigation is a 19.
19? Okay, so it seems like a mix of things. Unfortunately, it does seem like the network fell off a bit during the whole Army of the Dead zone. There seem to be people that Emily could kind of call upon to go. She would often send like trusted people out to do things. The challenge is you don't know where those people went, but there are leads. So if you want to start sending people out to try and find these folks, that's possible. You talked about enlisting the help of Trax and Dex. So they might be folks you could like send out to be like, get on the trail of these people, reactivate them essentially on my behalf. The good news is from what you can already tell, and also just from the cultural makeup of Aka was like a bunch of different folks. So if, you know, a tabaxi and a dude show up and are like, hi, we're here from the Unseen Hand, it's not gonna be like, wait a minute, you're not one of 6 people I know, or like we're all only dwarves. Like it won't be outside the realm. It'll be like we're agents who don't know, blah blah blah. But again, having access, and sorry, just so I'm understanding correctly, you didn't leave the palace then. You were going to go back to the parade grounds, but you saw the drill breaking up, so you just stayed. Yeah. Okay. So having access to Emily's stuff. Again, she really wasn't expecting anyone to be looting around in her fucking bedroom, so it's very easy to find sort of some sense of how you can manage that. It also seems that the Raven Gate can be manipulated to essentially not necessarily portal everywhere, but to tap into kind of like two-way mirror communication-y stuff that you've seen used before, with sort of like the mirror portals and that sort of thing. So you can... There are some agents that once you have stability on the portal, you can probably tune it to communicate with, where you can just go full like mirror on the wall and, you know, speak to them from whatever devices they have. So there's some potential there. A little similar to the Spyglass situation from 2099. You do have some agents in the field in the east. They are just fewer because those stations are often more... aggressively.
Yeah, my notes are that we just don't have a strong foothold in there from the last time we tried this. Like figuring this stuff out.
Yeah. So I like your idea of keep the embedded people embedded, move the free agents over. And I think weirdly from what you've seen of Vasa, they would almost, it might endanger diplomatic relations if spies didn't start showing up. Like that would be seen as like a tremendous oversight and a sign of weakness.
For just because it's something that was put on my radar, I would specify that non-magical agents go into Visa.
Smart.
Only. We don't need people getting conscripted and then we can't get them back, or I don't know what happens if you're magically indoctrinated or whatever. I want people to be plain and just know what the city state is about. We can figure out the Warlock Knight angle a little later, but I definitely don't want to send people in who are like hypnotized or whatever it is that happens to the magical people who become Warlock Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I need to make you a nation tracking sheet for the Unseen Hand. I think it can't be exactly this player kingdom piece, but something like that. So we won't do that now. That'll be a thing I make up later. But
and again, you were like, what do you want to do with your hour, Quinny? Like, this is a lot.
No.
I just want to get that started.
Look, as someone who is perpetually like, if I have something I know I need to do and it's just going to fucking bug me until I do it, I think Quinny knowing that he's got a full spy network that he can't touch would be the thing to be like, I need to go look into this. So it's not like all the chess pieces move immediately, but I think you're able to spend the time with your previous investigation as well. You also rolled very high to go like, oh, okay, cool. I can't do all of this right this minute. I'm aware of how to start doing it, and I can kind of get some things in place for when those networks are open. Okay. So I'll make a mechanic for this later.
That sounds like a nightmare, dude. We can figure it out together, or
no, it's all good. I already kind of have a sense of it. I just don't want to do it on air right now, but it'll essentially just be. Because I love the idea of sending non-magical people. I'm like, that's awesome. And I was like, maybe I should cost Ryan an economy point. I'm like, but a Ka isn't doing it. It's the Unseen Hand. And I was like, fuck. So that's fine. It'll be very lightweight, but it'll essentially just be similar to how story points work in some of our other systems. Essentially just a small economy for the Unseen Hand, which is like, what do you want to invest where? So that's what that'll look like. For now, again, I think you're just getting your ducks in a row. But it is only an hour, and those go very quickly when you're about skullduggery. So you've got some senses of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Juniper, the time has come to come deliver your laws. Before you do, there's a knock at your door, very politely, but also somewhat insistently.
Yep. Come in.
And Annan peeks her head in and just says, Sheriff.
Hey, Annan.
Hi. I just wanted to check in and see if you needed anything. I understand you have to deliver the laws soon.
We're just talking about drafts. It's just draft laws
fair enough.
Now,
You'll forgive me, but I spent a lot of time watching the Dum Dums, and I've noticed over time that there's a bit of an imbalance in terms of how people are supported. Not by anyone's fault, but just by nature of it. I mean, Quinny and Butthole go back so far. They generally have each other's backs and a lot of this sort of stuff. Obviously, Butthole has Goblin Jr. to talk through stuff with. Quinny has his ego to talk stuff through with. But I know a lot of the time you are the person people talk stuff through with. And it occurred to me that you might want to talk through stuff before you talk through it with them. If you don't, that's fine. But I have some experience with this. And as Hand, I view it very much as my responsibility to support you in these things. So you don't have a Dr. Martha because you are Dr. Martha, so I just wanted to make sure you had the option.
Oh, well, that's really nice. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some stuff to sort out. That's partly why Crendon's here. So, but, we'll get that sorted and it'll be fine.
Great. Okay. Well, if you need me, I will be trying to get the smell off of this piss-smelling clipboard that Patty Two Eyes gave me, who weirdly reminds me an awful lot of my husband. So it seems I'm just going to be surrounded by yelly weirdos my whole life.
Well, you're a great manager, so here's the thing. You're really good at organizing people and ordering them around, and they still respect you, so yeah.
I also find them funny. All right. I'll see you later. Good luck. And she closes the door. Any final preparation you want to do?
Nah.
All right. Council chamber. So we cut to the council chamber. Everyone has arrived. There are actual bagels sitting next to bowls of chips and nuts. You'll never guess who brought the actual bagels. Annan.
You should get them.
But they sell bagels in a car. Just Patty Two Eyes is not good at her job sometimes. So they there's food set up. Annan has put some just blank sheets on the sort of dais that you'd set up for the laws. The chairs are arranged.
Cool.
Butthole, I mean, these are your meetings to run, so I will take off my DM hat and hand it to you.
All right. Butthole, just say to everybody, thanks for coming. We've got some new laws coming into place. Juniper has done some preliminary research and is here to present the high-level stuff. We're aware that as this continues, it's going to get more and more refined to more and more specific things, but we're talking high-level justice. We've got representatives from the Fortress of Forlorn Hope, because we kind of know where we were functioning beforehand here, and we have representatives of former Aka, so we can see how these laws sound to people who are more familiar with the previously existing system. Juniper, I guess I'll just hand it over to you, and if you want to walk us through what you're thinking.
For sure. So I want to say I consulted a number of people from the different nations, and a lot of their approaches I think just aren't going to work here. A lot of it's, don't do this, you can't do this. If you do this, you're executed. If you do this, you're imprisoned. And I think being a warring nation for so long, I think there's a high risk of like harsh justice being meted out very easily and readily. And I don't know that we want that all the time, especially if the military is going to be retrained as the Town Watch, because we don't want them thinking that people are the enemies and, you know, the thing that they're attacking is the law or whatever, and then treating them like that. So I was thinking more along the lines of, why don't we say what people have the right to do, and anything that goes against those rights is wrong.
Can you give an example, Juniper?
I was going to say, yeah, you're looking at Butthole's entire mind is just those grinding wheels that have come to a halt on like, ugh.
Well, yeah, I mean, Quinny's the same way. Of like, how am I supposed to know what I want to do if I don't know what I'm not allowed to do?
Well, what you're not allowed to do is anything that infringes on other people's rights.
Like a right to what?
Yeah,
Well,
do you know what? I think
okay.
right now this has been a very good description of your design philosophy. Can you show us what you designed? Because right now we just know what these laws theoretically aren't.
So this is just for citizens. Laws for like non-citizens are going to be a little different. I think that makes sense.
So like out-of-towners, different laws that people, so visiting, different laws that people who live here. Okay.
It's like, but like regardless, everyone has something basic, like the right to live.
Okay, so if you infringe on my right to live, i.e. murder me or try to murder me, that's against the law. That makes sense to me, I guess.
Okay.
What about when it gets more complex? Like, Quinny grabs a real bagel and like tosses it over to Patty, like just on the table in front of her, and says like, Patty's got a bagel, but
No, I just got one of these weird circle breads.
I'm just fully ignoring Patty. Just like when he's like, but like I want a bagel, so I take her bagel. If she tries to stop me, isn't she infringing on my right to have a bagel?
Okay, I think technically that's probably going to fall under a different right.
Yeah.
But okay, so the right to live. Run through your list of rights, and then we can probably ask questions at the end, because I think we're really going to get bogged down.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
then,
I was thinking like the right to like personal betterment.
Just a second, I got to get a scroll for this. And he's
and without missing a beat, without looking at you, just hands you a scroll with a quill.
beautiful. Okay, right to life. Okay.
Right to personal betterment.
That's number 2.
So that includes like the right to get an education, which we're starting. The right to just make a living in Asgard.
Okay.
The right to pursue happiness.
Is that a separate right? You're
Well, it's kind of under that. It's like I've tried to divide it into like
those
things.
are examples, or those are all rights.
Well, they're all rights. I was just kind of
Can you tell me the rights that you've got under betterment? Let's just go through this.
Under
I'm trying to figure out
betterment.
what to write.
Education.
Yeah. Okay.
Making a living.
Okay.
And pursuing happiness.
Why pursuing happiness? Why not just guarantee that people are happy?
We can't guarantee that.
All right.
All right. Again, we're going to get to the end of this list before I've already got questions too. But
No, that's fine.
Everyone hold questions.
So the right to form associations. So that's like assemble peacefully.
Like gangs and stuff.
Peacefully.
Like a peaceful gang.
Yeah.
Yeah. To unionize.
Okay. Yep. Obviously.
Yeah,
And just basically like associate with people without being like you're associating with them and that's wrong. Like that's,
I think that's peaceful assembly. But yeah. Okay.
To move freely, so citizens can enter and leave a car.
So this is
Asgard.
the right to move freely.
Really, yeah.
But it's just so not like into random houses. Just right to
Yeah.
move.
And then within that, they also have the right to like safety when they're within Asgard.
Okay.
And then people have the right to have their own thoughts and beliefs and to express those.
Okay.
And that includes like, like criticizing the government, practicing
So like a
whatever
free speech
religion.
kind of thing.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Everyone's equal. Everyone gets all these rights equally.
Serafina
Under the law.
Bellwinter's eyes
And that's
narrow.
regardless of their age or their gender or their species or their sexual orientation or their religion or their level of education or their perceived social class.
And what about their wealth? Surely
perceived
that must...
economic status.
Oh.
Okay.
And their job. And then kind of the last big one is like people's legal rights. So it's like, I mean, in terms of like, if someone like we think you do something wrong, it's like they have the right not to be just like randomly searched for no reason or like have their property taken for no reason.
So it's a right to property and a right to privacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right to counsel. Everyone will be presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Okay.
No cruel or unusual punishment.
What's that a right of? Because right now you're saying we're going fully positive on this spin on laws.
Oh yeah, I guess that's more like those are like the rules for us and the people in charge.
Wait, there's rules on us?
Wait, so
Yeah.
I'm just. So these are all rights, but this one's not a right. This is just like don't do.
But it's like a list of don't do's for us, the
For
people
us.
who are in charge.
So
which
there
is-
are rights, which are
Yeah.
for them, and then there's don't do's for other people.
For the people who are enforcing the rights.
Okay, so the first don't do is cruel and unusual. Okay.
I like that one. I'm always worried someone's going to turn me into
Yeah.
a chicken.
I don't like that these rules apply to us.
They apply to everyone.
Let's just. Some of them don't. The don't do's just apply to us, but it's okay. Are there any other don't do's?
No. And then
He like went to put the scroll away.
yeah,
He takes it back
no,
out.
So basically, yeah. So all the rights stand as long as they don't infringe upon the rights of others. And then some rights can be revoked if you're like convicted of a crime, but will be
now we're
restored once
talking.
rehabilitated.
Oh, all right.
Okay. what rights are optional?
Well, it's
In that
like
sense.
if you're convicted of a crime, you can't move freely.
You can't freely leave. That makes sense. That's how it worked for me.
I mean, everything else is basically.
Well, that's not how it worked
Yeah.
for me.
Okay. First of all, before we have any questions, I would like to say thank you to Juniper for putting in a lot of hard work and talking to a lot of other people to put together what is a very novel approach to a legal system. I'm going to open the floor up to questions. Does anyone have any thoughts? Does anyone have any questions?
As the spy master, I've got some questions. I don't know if you are allowed to hear the answers to these questions or if I actually will need you.
Yeah, you're probably going to need me for this. So
Yeah.
that's going to be an end of meeting thing.
All right.
And then Butthole's going to look around at the rest of the room and be like, hello, everyone. Welcome to my new Zone of Truth. And he's going to cast Zone of Truth and be like, not everybody in this room knew Quinny was the spy master before we started. And I'd really like to be sure that you're not going to tell people outside of this room that Quinny is the spy master. It's like Seraphina Bellwinter is here like idiots.
Yeah, she is still just like. Hang on, let me see if she actually clocked that because no, she definitely didn't. She's still sitting there being like, but if you have property, why would you work?
Okay.
You have station. Sorry, who's? Sorry, you've elected. Am I the spy master now?
I'll think about it. The rest of the room, I think
Nailed
everybody
it.
is nobody he's afraid of. It's Vismith. Balthazar Durian's here.
Yeah.
He's kind of dumb. Yeah, he still needs to Zone of Truth the room. So DC 18 charisma saves.
Okay.
Oh.
Just nopes across the board.
Great. I need you all to swear a binding oath to me that you will not tell anyone that Quinny is the spy master.
I mean, I passed my curve.
That's fine. I'm not worried about you.
Balthazar Durian is just like, of course, as the resident war wizard of the council, I guarantee my silence.
Great. Love truth.
Seraphina Bellwinter just smiles and says, as a member of the council, I too will keep my silence as a member of the council.
As you are a representative currently in this room, but are not a standard member of this council, I'm just going to need that general oath from you that you're not going to tell anybody without
Sure,
qualifiers.
You may absolutely have it. I would very much appreciate to continue to be a resident, how did you put it, consultant on the council? Representative on the council.
Do you believe this is a negotiation?
No, I'm just asking for stuff because I'm here. Wait, did I say that out loud?
Because of the honesty of your answer in why you were asking for stuff, if you give me the binding oath, I will consider you still being included sometimes.
I swear it.
Wonderful. Okay, we're good. We shouldn't say that in rooms
Yeah,
anymore.
sorry.
Oh, Patty Two Eyes. I mean, like, sometimes me and him don't get along too well, but I respect the office of Mr. Spymajig, so I won't tell anybody.
What's my fake job again then?
Mr. Spymajig.
Your fake job.
Was it culture?
You're a minister of culture.
Yeah, okay. I think it was something like that.
Minister of culture. Quinny Brown Barrel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the fakest job. Okay.
It's time for you to see some plays. Okay, so he doesn't actually need the oath from anybody else. He was worried about like two people in this room. There's nobody I
Just
forgot.
likes
I'm
to
like,
be involved.
no, I'm like Patty that's involved, but it's like
Yep.
he's not worried about Vismith. He's not worried about like Reginald or any of the other
Yeah.
people who are present, who are the traditional loyalists. Just like, okay, any complaints, any questions, any thoughts, any criticisms?
Patty puts up her hand.
Go for it, Patty.
I got two questions. Question number one. Why does Mr. Spymajig call the round bread a bagel?
Okay, I'm going to rephrase this. I'd like questions about the law. And he's like, oh, yeah.
Question
And he just like lets the Zone of Truth go because he's not trapping everyone in his Zone of Truth for this conversation.
Question number two. Where to go? Okay. Question number two. This sounds pretty good to old Patty Two Eyes. Most of our laws used to just be if you get sick, you get killed. Then they'll raise you as a zombie from the corpse pile. So I've never actually heard anyone tell us what we can have before. That sounds pretty neat.
That's a good point because the right to life, I would say, includes like the right to like access medicine and healing.
I honestly got to tell you, just the right to life is a new one for us. The right to serve was like a pretty big one. We're pretty good at that one, but the right to life, well, that's a whole great unexplored territory for old Patty Two Eyes. I think it's going to mean a lot to a lot of people who fought pretty hard for a thing that they just realized didn't care about them at all.
Patty, your second question wasn't a question. Do you have something to ask?
Well, I guess my question is, why you got to shit on me saying nice things all the time? There's my question now, short stack.
I throw the round bread at her.
Okay. listen, we can't do this. I'm trying to run a meeting here
Admittedly, sir, there is no right that prevents him from doing that. I think that's actually okay. This is really good.
That is technically true, and maybe a pretty biting criticism of this system. That assault, I think, is legal
Well,
currently.
it's right to safety.
But that wasn't dangerous. It was just uncomfortable.
Yeah, but did you feel unsafe having a bagel thrown at you?
Well, I'm still a little confused about the nomenclature, but no, and I think I get it. Mr. Spamajig was just mad at me because I framed my statement as a question. I'm just not used to talking to fancy people. I was pissing in a bottle like 4 days ago.
You haven't pissed for 4 days?
Oh, I've been pissing in pots like a fancy person now.
Okay.
And Seraphina
Thought you were alarmingly sick.
Just is scooching as far away from Patty as she can. This is your counsel.
Okay. Anybody else? He's like, V-Smith, you got thoughts?
I am loath to say this, but I am inclined to agree with Patty Two Eyes. This is more than we are used to in terms of care for us in our particular situations. I do admit I am somewhat nervous about the distinctions in place, and I worry we will not be able to maintain law and order. But then again, my whole life has been highly militaristic. So to me, what you cannot do is more important, but maybe that is not how it should be, yes?
It's an interesting thought. Okay.
Balthazar raises a finger.
Oh, get in there, buddy.
He, however, is very aware that he is outgunned here and probably shouldn't be in this room. So he just raises a finger and says, I hate to bring it back to this all the time, but magic missile is a weapon that those like me who have mastered it can unleash, similar to the Eldritch, I believe they're pronounced, blasts of the warlocks, or the powers of the clerics or the paladins. These are weapons just as sure as any sword. How will magic be ruled? Are there provisions? I know our neighbors in Vassar treat magic very particularly. Have you considered how magic will be taught?
I mean, don't hurt other people with it.
And he just nods.
These are the rules for locals, so would there be exceptions if it was wartime? How does that function?
I'm maybe.
If I may, I suppose what I'm most concerned about is if a warlock, for instance, were to make a pact with some kind of demonic presence, is that fine? Understanding that I do not seek this myself. I have my magic missiles. I do not require Eldritch blasts. But
well, to be clear, none of the things we're discussing in this meeting are binding yet, so don't go make any assumptions immediately after this meeting, because got to lock things down. Okay, if we look at the rights, that would technically be the right to form an association, I think, between a magic user and a demon.
An infernal association.
Yep, but we didn't, as long as it's peaceful, theoretically that's allowed, so people can go selling their souls to demons however they want.
You know what?
I'm not, again,
I feel like
I'm
the
not
people
saying this
who
is
were
binding.
prone to selling their souls to demons were kind of beyond the laws of mortals anyway.
If the demon comes to town, then the demon has to follow the foreign laws. It's not going to be like a marriage where all of a sudden the demon's a citizen.
Right.
But they're an agent of a foreign power. Who's probably would not be
an
blamed.
enemy, though.
Yeah, we don't, like, one of the challenges with this system is there's no right that, okay. Any other thoughts from other people in this room? Butthole's realizing he has a lot of shit to say, but does not want to say it in front of like 10 people in regards to being the king and considering laws in this format.
Who's going to decide when a law's or a right is being infringed on? Kind of like to the example of me with the bagel here. Like if I threw that at Patty Two Eyes and guard A saw it and agreed with Patty and that wasn't really an infringement on her rights to safety, but guard B saw it and decided that was a big infringement, like who's right? Does it just depend?
Well,
or
we'll have to set up a system where there are people who are kind of charged with interpreting what the laws are and what rights have been broken or
Like
not.
judges?
Yeah.
Okay. Judges already exist, so we could just use that. And
Do we have
judges here?
Do we have any judges currently? He just looks to Patty.
She said, "Oh no, judge, jury, and executioner were just are the lich lords for a long time, and all those scary guys coming through. But like I've heard, I mean, we used to have judges, sure, but it was mostly military judges, JAGs, if you will, judge advocate generals.
Okay, so we don't have any judges, and there isn't a legal system currently.
So maybe this is a system to work towards, and until we get people, trained up in this kind of legal code, we just say, you're not allowed to kill, you're not allowed to hurt people, you're not allowed to steal.
So you're saying like we could pick like 10 things,
Yeah.
and we could just make them like commandments that people have to follow.
For now.
Yeah, so we're just like, here's the 10 commandments, just follow those commandments.
Well, whatever
of the
number it
butt
happens
hammer.
to be.
And then we just like let that King Butthole says.
Annan's in this room, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
dear
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
yes.
So Annan just raises a quill and says, I'm not in any way opposed to the 10 commandments of the butt hammer, but I will say...
No, we need to keep that separate, church and state.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
yeah.
But freedom
Fair
of
enough.
religion.
Okay,
and all.
No.
Annan,
It's
you're-
a very good point. I'm glad you brought it up. These are important things. I will say, if the concern is judges, places like Neverwinter and Waterdeep are filthy with judges and other people trained in legal profession. We could, of course, also reach out to Candlekeep and the scholars there. All I'm saying is if you're looking to hire people who have professional expertise in this, who honestly would be fairly impartial, that really won't be very difficult for many of the major city centers because their legal systems are already so complex that there are plenty of folks who I'm sure would welcome a chance to have their own little fiefdom. Now, I don't know if you want to keep the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil mask situation for the anonymity like Neverwinter. That's up to you. You saw how poorly that went.
Yeah, no, we're not,
Yeah,
we're not
chapter
doing that.
12.
It's insane. Okay, we got Visvis' opinion. We got Balthazar Durians, who's wondering about warlocks. Serafina, what do you think? Because you're like my last local that I need to hear from.
Well, speaking from the refined class, we would, I'm sure, welcome protections on our property, protections on our way of life. We've worked hard. We have played the games. We have climbed the social ladder, and I believe that deserves a little bit of protection and importance. You're creating a new Akka, fine, but I don't think those of us that managed to get ahead should be punished for working hard to this point. I think that we should be elevated. You said you want judges. You have nobility. Give us the robes. Give us the little tiny hammers. You like hammers? We can just tap them. I, of course, will be too busy firing arrows, but many among my social circles would be excellent at this. Let us set up your legal system. We can set up your commerce system. You're really making this very complicated. You have everyone you need. Just the Bellwinters, perhaps, more so than the rest.
Interesting. All right, I'm going to let everybody go. We'll keep Minister of Culture. We'll keep the Hand. We'll keep Reginald. You stay too. And obviously Juniper. And then we'll just have a quick kind of inner circle chat now that we've got some feedback from the rest. That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go Junior Jays. Everybody get out of here.
Go small Jays, Serafina says, and stands up and limps her way out.
Okay, so you know that we can't do any of that Bellwinter shit, right?
Oh, yeah, that's not even...
Okay.
That was just like, oh, okay, they're not going to like anything
you were
we
so
do.
convincing.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
scary
Okay.
for a sec.
Sometimes you just have to say thank you, and then when you tell them to leave, it's kind of clear that they're not really going to be driving the bus on this one. Okay, so the nobles are going to hate anything that's reasonable in terms of laws. I like the theme that we've got going here, Juniper. I really do. The problem is we can't deliver on almost any of these. The right to medicine, we don't have the ability. We don't have enough clerics. The right to education, I hope. The right to be able to earn a living, I can't guarantee that our economy's in the toilet. The right to pursue happiness, I don't even know how happy any of us are at the top, let alone...
Pursue, as in, like, people do things that could make them happy.
Yeah, but that's kind of just like existing is trying to be happy, unless you're doing something that stops them. But it's
that's more of like if someone is doing something that's like actively making people unhappy, that's...
But let's say I run a business and I sell bread at a price that makes somebody unhappy because it makes me a profit.
I hate how cheap how expensive his bread is.
That's a crime because it's not pursuit of
Right.
happiness. Like the challenge is some of it's so vague. Or like the right to form association, good. Right to peaceful assembly, good. Right to free speech, really challenging if we also have right to free movement and then we just have a bunch of planteers coming in and being like, I love Captain Planteer and that king is bullshit. And
Okay.
if we
can take out pursue happiness.
No. I'm kind of talking about the overall system because some of this stuff I really like, but it's like the right to safety kind of devolves into the right to not feel unsafe. We're all unsafe
But
all
it's
the time.
not about feeling. It's more like you have the right to be like safe from like other people attacking you, which means like people can't attack you. If they attack you, then you don't have safety and then they need to be punished.
So the right is not a guarantee. It's just like a rule that if it gets broken, then there's consequences?
Exactly.
So what we're saying is don't do this or you're punished.
Yes, but it's
written backwards.
But it's written backwards so as to try to avoid, again, kind of the military citizens are the enemy problem.
Here's the challenge. The theme of switching them around makes a lot of sense to me. The delivery, this makes it so vague. And I like a no technicality system, which I generally believe in. But like the rights that everyone is equal is like a real problem when I don't really care that the nobles don't like it. They're rich anyway, so frankly, being equal to people, they'll be able to cheat the system more than they should be able to begin with. But like, if I'm going to functionally turn this kingdom around, I need to be able to make unilateral decisions that may make people unhappy or may make some people unsafe and that innately make me not equal to them. I hate the lack of equality.
Yeah.
But then,
no, I agree. I agree that, I mean, eventually we would work towards a system where like people would basically vote for other people to like represent them and then talk with someone who's like at the top and they make changes that end up representing the interests of the people. But the person at the top doesn't have to directly consult the people. But I think, I mean, the goal of the people at the top has to be to generally make things better in an overall direction.
And right now, I think this set of laws really would apply well in that scenario.
Yes.
This is like the 30 years from now democracy kind of rules?
Yeah, where I'm like, then we could have a system. Because I'm like, right now, the right to counsel, we barely have laws. We don't have lawyers. We can't afford to hire lawyers. The right to have property, we're going to be taking down buildings to build better. If I have to choose between keeping a mansion for a rich person who already owns the mansion or breaking that down and building housing for 45 people, I'm going to take the property away. And it's going to ruin their happiness. It's going to ruin other things.
It's going to be fun, too.
Annan raises a quill.
Yes, Annan.
First of all, fully agree, Quinny. It will be delightful. I used to serve an awful lot of very rich people coming to the Oasis, and I got to tell you, if you change anything, they get mad, and there's really no two ways around it. So I think you're correct not to worry too much about the nobility. Also, realistically, if they're deeply connected with the nation states nearby, most of them will fuck off anyway and run away to their allied
Second
cousins.
homes.
Exactly. I'm sure
Fuckers.
they have like a summer home in Vassar or some nonsense they'll run away to. So if they're going to be enemies, they're going to be enemies. They'll either be here or not. I think that's fine. When we had to change the spa rules frequently, at one point, someone decided to stow the sex harnesses at the spa. We had to shut the whole place down and clean it. It was exhausting. People got very, very mad. But what we found helpful when we reopened it and had to clarify that you couldn't just take things from the brothel into the spa and vice versa was to tell everyone the aspirational piece. And it would seem that Miss Two Eyes is rather good at spreading that. Following it up with the satin around an iron glove situation. Tell people, yes, congratulations, nation is changing, and you now have a right to pursue happiness. We want you to try and find self-fulfillment. We want you to do all of these things. And if you don't, here's what will happen. And then we just hit them with the fucking laws. But I think the aspirational piece of this is important, and it's something that certainly brought a lot of hope to the people at Forlorn Hope. I think that model worked quite well, and I think it can possibly work here as well if you marry the two. But that's just this old hotelier's advice.
I like that idea because I've always thought, says Reginald, finally stepping forward, you need some carrot and then you need some stick. And the stick is really just there for people who are monsters. From a world of monster people, it was all stick. But I'm excited about this new carrot that we may be offering in terms of some of these rights. It'll really help keep the masses happy with what we're doing. And rich people are going to hate us no matter what, so we can make some laws to really put the screws to them if they try to leave.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so if we take some of these rights, which I totally agree with, and I think these are good. So these what we present up front, and maybe we do a signal thing for each one that we're trying to move towards, which is like, okay, you have a right to life. We are going to... We can always adjust these things if we have to. It'll be a real downer, though, so I don't want to. But I'm like, we could suspend state executions. We don't execute people as a country anymore. We rehabilitate or we jail on a permanent basis in a humane way. It's just nobody's got to get worried about getting killed by the government.
And Goblin Jr. of all people goes, snarf, snarf, which translates to, haters gonna hate.
But
then he just licks his chops.
But we've got like the right to betterment. We offer education to everybody. You want to go to school, go to school. We sort that out.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's a priority anyways, and we can't afford to not do it. Right to form associations, we're going to allow unions. That'll be enough. Let's figure out how that works. Yep. I like... equality is really good. We just need a way to phrase it that doesn't destroy the functional monarchy. We may need to overrule them if they do something stupid. We can call it the right to equality, which I like, but what we'll say is, in the eyes of the law, a noble and a peasant are equal. So we keep the crown out of it.
Okay.
Because I'm a monarch, then they're nobles, then they're peasants.
Right.
So if you're a monarch, you're kind of excluded from this, but we're just saying, like, the Bellwinters and the Patties are equal.
Oh, they'll love that.
Well, the Patties will like it. The Bellwinters are going to have a real problem, but the amount that I care about, we have to try to improve this somewhere.
Yeah.
Annan raises the quill again, looking somewhat more reticent.
Annan, what up?
Perhaps the solution to the monarchy issue is to create some kind of formal clause for what would warrant the overthrow of said monarchy. Currently, it would seem to me this place is only used to armed coups or assassinations. If you're saying that a noble and a peasant are equal, which makes sense in the eyes of the law, but the monarch sits above the law, then the only solution to a monarch who's out of line is to kill them or have someone from the future shoot them or, I guess, destroy their phylactery or...
Use your right to associate to storm the fucking castle?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
The flaming moat situation, I'm a big fan. But if you build in a mechanism of accountability, whether that's Chief Justice, whether that is the council has the ability to depose the monarch in the case that you go cuckoo crazy banana pants and start destroying things. As I understand it from the briefing I've been reading over, this whole area has a lot of issues with people trying to seize control of godhood. So it might be worthwhile to have something official in place to say, you are all equal. As a man, I am equal to you. As Butthole, the human man, I am equal to you. As the monarch, I am above you. However, there is a system in place to knock me out if necessary. The loophole to all of this being that as you ascend, you will no longer be privy to these, or not privy to, under the aegis of these laws, you will kind of exist above and beyond them, which I guess we will leave to Farthole to determine from a theological perspective.
Okay, so theoretically what we could say is, if the council, which are the hand, diplomat, architects, general, chief justice, minister of culture, he says, reading the word spymaster and remembering not to say it, the headmasters, the guild leader, and the high priest. If the council comes together and votes unanimously, king's out, queen's out, whoever the monarch is out.
All right. You know, we talk about how some of these we can't like promise right now. Why don't we pitch the whole thing though as like the target, the ideal, and tack onto it that, you know, when we hit that, we'll dissolve the monarchy.
If we if we hit a nation that can guarantee all of these rights and these rules will function?
Yeah, and then we'll
and then we can add the right to a government elected by the citizens.
like a promise or something. I don't know.
That's fair enough. Okay, so we present,
And then whatever they don't like or like about the status quo, they can vote on it, right? That's the democracy thing.
And then
Okay.
if people really want the monarchy out, then people are going to have to work hard to make sure that the system's in place to.
so we do the positive
Able to
rights, this
deliver.
short list of we can deliver on these rights right now. These
Yeah.
are your new rights. We're going to do at least one big thing that supports each of these rights, so we know this is coming. We're going to present a secondary list of a big list of rights, including a bunch of additional ones.
Big old
and
to-do
when
list.
we meet all of these and they're being met and the system has kind of had the kinks ironed out, that's the point where we will shift to a democratic form of leadership.
Why not just be, upfront with these folks about it? They
Yeah,
all seem like a
I'm
blunt,
fine with that.
harsh people.
And then the laws we'll put underneath will take whatever the laws are for general citizens from other nations, not nobility, because I always get murdery and torture about nobility. Whatever the laws are for regular citizens, we'll give that list of what people expect and this is illegal, this is illegal, whatever the standard stuff is.
You can't kill people. You can't steal. You can't.
Yeah. And the
hurt.
punishments will be rehabilitation or prison. Anything that has a fine, we have to figure out whether or not it's actually
I
a
don't like
crime,
fines.
because fines are just saying that it's illegal for poor people to do
Exactly.
it. And that's horseshit. So a lot of that stuff's going to go. You want to park your cart. I don't care. This works for me. Does this work for everybody else?
I like it.
I think there's still that conversation that you and I need to have at the very end you were referencing.
Yes, with that. I could be a part of that, but I also could not. This makes sense to me. The military is being disbanded, though. What the hell is going on? I thought I was the general. Oh, yeah. So we're going to... We needed to make kind of a signal thing. We don't have enough workers to make the city better. So we were thinking we're going to lean more into an arts and culture thing, and we're going to do more market. And then we're going to let you pick the parts of the military that you think are the craziest or the least useful, and we're going to make them go be artisans and help build the city. And then the others are going to turn into the watch. And I'm in charge of the watch? No, that's going to be the Chief Justice who's in charge of the watch. We're going to keep the Hammerers as a small unit of peacekeepers. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like standing in the middle of a war and then dying. Except for the dying, that's actually not that wrong. You're going to be a small elite unit, and we'll send you to places to deal with the undead or help people with conflicts. And sometimes, it'll be you standing between two armies saying, don't fight. And then they won't, because we're really going to work on the reputation. Oh, God. And you guys think this is a smart idea?
I didn't know you'd be in charge of the peacekeepers. I can see why you don't love it.
I had an army before. I didn't agree to be stand-in war saying, please stop, man.
Look, that Butthole
believe
did
it or
not give a
not-
great example. You'll be doing a lot of stuff of breaking up fights and that kind of stuff too. When two armies are clashing, you will not literally stand in the middle of a battlefield and say, halt. Because
It's kind of too late by that point.
because
isn't
that's
it?
crazy. Yeah, you'll be doing stuff so that never actually happens.
Like what kind of stuff? I thought I just got to stay here and send a whole army out and stand at the back. That's how you described it to me.
Stuff like probably, I don't know, butthole raids, I guess. If there's an illegal operation going on, a raid.
I mean, that sounds like it would be the town watch, but maybe if they were going elsewhere and there was a small town and a big bad guy was threatening to destroy that town, they could protect the town by standing there and saying, you can't take them, and then fighting against impossible odds for justice
Butthole,
and virtue, and then saving them. Oh my God, what do you think I am?
All right, I need a persuasion check for Butthole. I need an opposed insight check from...
That's a nat 20 from Butthole versus... What is this? His insight. I mean, it's just worth knowing. His insight roll was a 6.
It's minus.
Reginald, even though this is madness, there's a moment as you leapt off the cliff, feather falling safely, very slowly the whole way down, we felt the thrill of what you could imagine the dangerous version of this might feel like. And there's a little joy in that. And I think Butthole's words kind of get through to you. And weirdly, maybe you do need something. There's not really anything there. I don't know how you manage that with your abject terror, but like, who are you if there is no war?
And I think he just has that moment, and Butthole just turns to him and rests a hand on his shoulder and just says to him, "You have been pretending to be a hero that the army can look up to your whole life. You have pretended to do heroic things, and if you look back on your history, you kind of did a lot of heroic things. It was mainly by accident and due to coincidence, but it happened. And then you came and you met me, and you met my friends, and you like helped them, and you switched bodies, and that was kind of weird, but like you connected, and then you led us on a suicide mission to defeat the nation that terrified you, and you thought this was a nicer one, and it wasn't, and the bad one was also here, and you defeated your greatest enemy, and I think you made a friend today, which is not your approach to dealing with anybody. So here's the thing. You've spent your whole life pretending to be a hero so people wouldn't leave you at a moment of crisis. The only difference between that and legitimately being a hero is intent. And here's the thing. Heroes are afraid. Quinny acts cool, terrified constantly. Juniper, terrified constantly. Moss, even more so. Me, afraid and sad all the time.
Quinny, it's okay.
Quinny, you're scared.
Well,
Hey.
maybe like
I make one bad call, Ginny runs this nation.
that's legitimately terrifying.
Exactly. Okay, so this is the truth. Being a hero doesn't mean you're not afraid. And being a coward doesn't mean being afraid makes you a coward. You've actually been a hero this whole time. You've just done it to try to not die. Every time you almost died anyways, people love you because you did those things. You're already a hero, you big dumb idiot. You just think it doesn't count because you're you, and it counts. Oh. And Reginald just swallows and leans back. He's like, I guess if all you've ever done are heroic things, and you think it's because you're fooling people, but you really did them, that's just like imposter syndrome, and you might actually be kind of a hero.
And you're kind of just fooling yourself.
Oh man, I suck in so many weird and fascinating ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm also a hero. I think I can do this job.
And honestly, if it is scary, remember that these are dumb Faerun armies. And you came from the Horde.
Yeah, they're soft, but also their feelings make them like me. I can make this work. And if things get really bad, can I conscript other people from around the palace? Butthole's like, yeah, of course, you'll have the people you need. So you mean I can put Quinny in armor and make him come fight with me? I mean, not casually, but like if it's going to be really bad, yeah.
Yeah, don't put me in armor, though. I'm not good in armor.
Oh, I'll make a peacekeeper of you yet, Reginald says, and he's like, I've got to go tell Bismuth. And off he marches, determined to get rid of all the people he doesn't trust to go into battle with him.
It's actually the best day of his life. And finally, Annan just looks up from her clipboard and says, okay, so it sounds like we're in agreement. I've written all this down. I had a thought about the aspirational nature of all this. You said you want to kind of give people something to work toward, something that they can aspire toward, and something that they understand isn't here yet, but if it does come and the day comes when they want to abolish the monarchy, hopefully before Ginny has to wear a crown, they can do that.
Yeah.
Why don't we carve it into the side of the fucking castle? Right? Every aspirational thing you want this place to be on the outside of the biggest, scariest, most oppressive piece of this architecture. And let them see it. Let them think about it. Show literally anyone who comes near here what we're about.
Hell yeah, let's put it on the door. Let's put it right at the front of this big, ugly bastard.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, take a lot of Eldritch Blasts, but yeah, I can do it.
Awesome. We'll coordinate. We will take suggestions from the entire nation. We'll let people submit ideas. We'll filter them down. We'll take it from the people of Forlorn Hope. We can eliminate any of the ones that come in, like make the Bellwinters in charge. But all the other ones, we pick the best, and that becomes the charter of future freedoms. When that's met, We abolish the monarchy. The future is a happy place.
Snarf, snarf. And then Goblin Jr. farts.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Mithrian, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Diophasis, Squishy Werewolf, Remy, Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, Gus Schreider, Drama, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.